Thank you very much, Hans. So, a warm welcome to everybody. I see that there are people that come from all the world, so I'm proud for this. Fine. Okay. This presentation concerns the briefing I prepared on this multi-level governance issue. You will see there's not much theory on this issue. The most important thing at the end is to practice, to implement this type of exercise. In any case, let's go on. This short presentation is divided in these following points. So just an analysis on which are the starting points. So why multi-level governance is important, necessary to increase the effectiveness of the energy efficiency measures. And then we examine the role of the different governance levels and aim on an effective governance system. Finally, some insight on how to frame the governance modes, which are the factors to have a successful multi-level governance activity, and finally some points on concrete examples from this type of activity. Okay, the first starting point is just a consideration on the potential on the energy efficiency measures. Going on is more and more proving difficult to achieve the energy efficiency potential. This is generally true for the majority of the European countries. And this is especially true when we think to the 2030 challenging targets set by the Commission, you know. But also considering that the recovery from the economic crisis that now, fortunately, now is finishing, or apparently finishing, may favor an increase of the final energy consumption, especially also for what concerns the behavior of the final consumer. Maybe also they could have some money, more, and forgot which are the good rules to apply the measure, to apply the energy consumption indication. So to achieve these challenging targets at 2030, European countries not only have to adopt a strong energy efficiency measures, but have to make sure that at the end, the final user effectively apply them. So to make this measure really effective, and this is the real bet, if you want. One of the way to make the measure more effective is not obviously the only one, but one of the ways to make the measure more effective is to set coordinated actions between multiple levels of government, local, regional, national, and European. And this is the meaning of this multi-level governance. What this means? This means to engage the whole system of actors that influence the energy production patterns. This is why it is being proved that this type of vertical cooperation, if well enacted, generally improve the capability of policymakers to design robust, effective programs. And this is happening generally in three ways. By modifying the underperforming programs on the basis of the lesson learned during the participation on the meeting and entering in contact with the involved stakeholders. And this also happened by connecting the sharing experience with policymakers at each level of government, it means national, regional, and local, and doing this, better understand the problems, behavior, needs of the final users. All these really contribute to improve a current measure, the way of implementing a current measure, or the way of planning future measures. What we can say that really energy efficiency is an integral part of a more broad, complex social economic system. This means that effective energy policy measures must be designed and implemented in a way that engage the whole system that influence the energy production patterns. So this means the actors that are involved in the system include both governmental and non-governmental agents, it means industry, transport, household agents. I should go on, sorry, okay. Okay. What it happens generally that different levels of government are directly engaged with non-governmental actors. But generally, this engagement does not take into consideration the different levels. So maybe this local authority engage its own stakeholders, or when national governments engage in national stakeholders, but they do not speak one with the other. If this happens, if this engagement happens in isolation, it's possible that the energy efficiency potential are not finally totally achieved. So let's see, which are the level of this of the national government, which are the roles of these the different government levels. Sorry, which are the roles of these government levels? This is generally clear, but maybe these notes help well understanding this point. So the national government has obviously generally the role of coordinate strategies and has the capacity to mobilize significant resources, the money generally pertaining to the national government. But they generally do not have direct and effective interaction with local communities, and so they often delegate, but without interacting with them, important aspects of energy efficiency policies to lower government levels. Think, for example, the measure concerning buildings, measure concerning energy efficiency transport and so on, that especially interest the lower level administration that generally are implemented without speaking with the national government. In turn, the regional and local governments will develop their own policies according to the needs of the local territory they administer. Obviously, the way of doing this is different if it is a region or a municipality to do this. But they according obviously to the national administration and how the capacity to do this they have, but they may issue local measures. But for sure, they depend on the national level or concern the legal framework in funding availability. So they are not totally independent from this and have to link with the national level to move funds, to discuss about the legal framework and to see how the legal framework impact on the local level. Oh, sorry. Okay. So at this point, it is important to understand what an effective governance system is And this is important to after understand what a multi-level governance has to do. Here I use a good definition provided by the International Energy Agency that I appreciate a lot. This is concise and very meaningful. So, what an effective governance system should aim for? There are three levels of understanding for a good governance system. The first one is to understand the complexity of the general government they have to govern. What complexity means, to my mind, complexity is the mutual interaction of the economy and the social subset affected by the policies. The importance of understanding this complexity is opposite to the traditional hierarchical way of acting, to the traditional command and control mode of the national system. The second point of this understanding concerns the role of the different actors in the governing process. Generally, the actors have different ways of acting, of working according to the ambient in which they work. So, and many often, the national actors to which generally the national government address to, but not the most significant one for concern the energy efficient measures. Again, I refer to the transport, to energy efficient transport measure or to measure addressed to the buildings. And finally, it is important to understand the way these actors interact among themselves. So, quoting this sentence, it's important to understand the word of overlapping and competing authorities at different scale. The stakeholder may overlap in a decision, may compete one with the other. This also happens at the level of the local and regional and national authorities and so on. So it is important to understand this way of acting. Sorry, I go on. Okay. According to this governance concept can be resumed in the first arrow you see here, the arrow that goes from left to right. That means that governance can be understood as the complex system of interactions between actors at all levels of government engaging in the exercise of authority. So understanding interactions between actors that act at different levels. At the same time, which is the support that the multi-level governance can provide to this type of governance. It's exactly to allow the engagement of various independent and interdependent stakeholders in order to allow the discussion, the deepening of the interest between them. So on one side, you have the understanding of this complexity and interaction with actors. On the other side, this exercise may facilitate this governance exactly to better understand this interaction. And now, again, taking inspiration from the International Energy Agency, they divide the governance mode in 4 different types. You see, that is by authority, by provision, by enabling, and by self-governing. What does it mean? You see in the second column, there is just a resume of this. Governing by authority is the traditional command and control process. In this case, the national governments use mandatory legislative instruments. For example, they impose standard regulation and so on. And so, which could be the contribution of the multi-level governance activity to better implement this type of measure? Simply is to reach the consensus between the stakeholders in order to have the agreement on the involved stakeholders, the stakeholders that are affected by these standards or mandatory legislative instruments, in order to understand them, apply them, and discuss on them. It is important maybe to anticipate that this multi-level governance activity concerns both the preparation, the planning of the measure, but also the implementation. There are two different moments, and it is important to engage in different levels in both moments, when a measure has to be prepared and when the measure, once approved and issued, has to be implemented. The second point is provision. Governing by provision means when an authority provides subsidies, incentives, provisional services, and so on. While enabling is generally concerned supporting measures that concern information campaign, guidelines, best practices to maybe best illustrate the incentives, to best illustrate the type of subsidies provided by provision. This enabling may also include, for example, voluntary commitments. It's a form to enable the measure to be well employed. Okay, in both cases, the contribution of the multi-level government is to reach an agreement on how to implement at local level these provisions and enabling activities. Just one example, I'm just now experimenting this very rapidly, but it's interesting because I'm currently being involved in a project concerning the incentive of the Italian state for the refurbishment of the building. And a part of this incentive are in particular addressed to the administrator of the collective building, condominium if you want, that are key person in our country. Now these people know nothing about refurbishment, about energy efficiency, and so on. So it's very important a sort of training session, of discussion session, to reach the agreement and the comprehension of these people, so that these people in turn can involve the owners of the apartments, so that they are convinced to use this incentive. So I experiment in this, and I see that really it's important, this type of meeting, to have these final stakeholders, but also the technician from the municipality. They may have these people to do this by aggregating the demand and so on, but also the technician at national level, for example, from the National Energy Agency, or also from the fiscal agencies, because these incentives are fiscal incentives, in order to allow a better understanding of this type of measure. So it's very important to do this. Otherwise, the measure will fail, to my mind, without this type of action. Okay, finishing this table, the final type of governing is self-governing, and this, on the contrary, is typical of the of the local level. Sorry. So they refer to the autonomous local initiative that start from the needs of the territory and are enacted in consequence. So on the contrary, in this case, the contribution, the multi-level contribution, is to tune this local level, this local action with the national strategies, in order they do not go independently from the general strategies, and also to have a good blocking with the national agenda. Okay. At this point, I'm just close to finishing my presentation. I just show you, once we have more or less understood what governance is and what this multi-level governance can support the governance exercise. So now let's see which are the successful factors to organize and manage a successful MLG. So we have here I have 4 points. Who should drive or initiate the process, who to invite, how to facilitate these MLG processes, how to facilitate the energy way of acting. Sorry, there is a repetition here. As for the first point, who should initiate the process? Okay, obviously this is not any mandatory point here. This can be initiated by politician or civil servant at any administrative level. NGOs or universities, or an institution at national level may commit a private firm to do this, a specialized firm to do this. But it's important that somebody starts this initiative and is able to connect all these levels in an effective way. So what does it mean effective? Who to invite? For sure, this is a typical rule for a good participatory activity. So there should be a good balance between politicians and civil servants, and a good balance between politicians and civil servants at any local, regional, and national level, and a good balance between the stakeholders that can influence or are affected by the issues at the stake. So very important to invite the most relevant stakeholders according to the capacity they have to influence the politicians, or the way they are affected by the measures. To this end, it's important to have a careful analysis at the beginning. So the invitation should be carefully evaluated. After this, how to facilitate this process? Okay, it is important, obviously, to adopt effective communication techniques. It's very important that everybody participate to this meeting in a proactive way. So do not leave the people just listen to the speaker, but have to really interact. Maybe you have to organize separated rooms, separated table of discussion, and so on. And generally, in this type of activity, a trusted, experienced facilitator could make really the difference. I have a good experience on this. What is another enabling factor for a good energy system? Okay, this is a training activity. You have to design the system from the beginning. So you have to plan all the process, how many meetings you think to organize, to state clear objectives by each meeting, or the general objective, what do you want to achieve at the end of this activity, to state clear roles for different stakeholders, and each meeting has to be carefully prepared in order to really rule it. So preparation, planning, and a good experienced facilitator really can help this type of process. Okay, just to finish now, I see that it's more or less half an hour. An example. This is an example it came from a project I led some years ago, but 2 years ago. The objective of this project was to design regional plans to foster the use of renewables for heating and cooling end users. To this end, we gather, it was an European project, so we gather 6 different countries, and in each of these six countries, we organized a multi-level stakeholder participation to plan, to project, to design this plan. So this was a planning activity that involved different stakeholders at different levels. In particular, in Italy, where I directly participated to this meeting and I organized them, we, with the help of the regional agency, were able to gather more or less 100 people. Now, 100 is a big number. Generally, could be enough to gather 30, 40 people, no more. But in this case, we were able to gather all these people. And they come from the many local municipalities of this region. This is a big region. And from the region itself, from the university, and from the different private sectors. So they were industrial, they were the manager of district heatings, and so on. At the end of the play, these participants developed a comprehensive strategy for the development of the introduction of renewable for heating technologies in these Italian countries, proposing and planning and discussing on several policy measures that have to be implemented in this plan. Which was the key factors on this activity? As I told you before, a careful design of the decision process, so stating objectives and agendas for each meeting. We had the project last 3 years, and we had 2 meetings per year, for example. Careful identification of the most important stakeholders for this type of promotion, the renewables, and finally, the direction of the meeting entrusted to a skilled animator or facilitator. All this allowed at the end to develop this plan, but not only, allowed that this plan was eventually endorsed and implemented by the regional authorities, and now it is working. So it was a successful activity, agreed by everyone. Okay. So I have finished my presentation. I thank you for your attention, and now I see if there are some questions from you on this argument. So I'm here to read your